Disclaimer, the comments made in this video are intended for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to offend anyone.
When aggressive tactics meet unshakable logic, things get awkward, fast. Watch as woke warriors try to intimidate and get steamrolled by straight-up facts.
The United States is kind of trash.
Okay.
Doesn't treat its people well. You know.
How so?
I don't really know why you're having this. Do you want to have a conversation?
Well, that's why I'm asking you. How so?
What do you mean?
You said the United States treats its people like trash, so I was just asking how.
I mean, right now, how many people are suffering because they can't afford health care? Let's start with there. How about?
Got it. Well, Trump just slashed prescription drug prices by 50 to 80%.
So that
are you
prescription
unhappy with
drug
that?
sellers can raise their prices. I mean, he's just working for capitalism.
Well, he actually isn't taking a salary. And he's also lost $1 billion in his net worth from the first administration when the first time he ran.
He's taking money from literally anyone who will pay for his stupid coin, his what is it? Trump coin, Doge coin, I don't know.
There's a lot of cryptocurrencies that people make money off of. Are you upset with him making money? You can't.
Don't.
This is what happens when your talking points don't come with a user manual.
Victim groups like these people. I know you're so oppressed, my dears. I know life is so hard for you. You have to live in the richest, most equitable, most just country in the history of the world. You have to get a college education. You have to voluntarily go to lectures. It's so awful. I can't imagine. The people who are in war-torn nations, they must truly pity you. Goodbye then.
This man weaponized sarcasm so gracefully that it should be taught as an elective.
Ma'am, or sir, I'm not sure. I didn't misgender you, did I?
Oh, please, go f yourself.
Oh, that's not very ladylike.
Oh, now you're misgendering me. Ladylike.
Oh, well, what are you exactly?
None of your business. What are you?
But you said I misgendered you. If I don't know what you are, how can I not misgender you?
I love how one question can send them into a full-blown meltdown. Therapy much?
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am. Take it outside. If you want to call me sir again, I will show you.
Sir, ma'am, or madam, I'm running out of safe options here.
I got it, man.
It's sir!
Sorry, man.
Sir! It's disrespectful!
Sir, your crop top is louder than your scream.
That's a nice hammer and sickle. That only killed 100 million people in the last 100 years. That's really nice. New hammers, no sickle. Yeah, that's rebranding, what you call it. After 100 million people dead, you got to change the logo a little bit.
Yeah, but other than the mass famine, gulags, and censorship, it was a great economic model.
Men taller than women on average. Does anyone take offense at that fact?
Security.
That is not okay. Even the women in there have been brainwashed.
Offended inside, destruction outside, all in a day's work for the woke squad.
You are not allowed to touch me.
Yes, I am.
No, you are not.
The goddamn ground. Because I have rights.
So this man just said that he could me if he wanted to.
Look at your supreme.
I don't want. I'm gonna go get the officers because that's disgusting. No, don't touch me. Don't touch me.
No one touched you.
Yes, they did.
I know he did.
That man just said he could.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did. You're supposed to believe women. Why aren't you believing me?
Guess some causes only matter when it fits the narrative.
Ask me, well, what's the purpose of, why do you even care? What's the purpose of knowing someone's biology? Well, for starters, because we have civil rights specifically for women in the United States. We have special bathrooms for women, we have special sports leagues for women, we have all sorts of special places and rights and privileges that are for women that are not for men.
I want to just state that for 5,000 years BC, Gala transcribed and androgynous trans priests of Sumerian goddesses have been around and noted. 200 to 300 years before Christ in ancient Greece, there were gods worshipped by Gali priests who wore feminine attire and identified as women. Since we are standing on an Anishinaabe land. Turtle Island, which is the nation that we live under, has
I don't live under
two-spirited
Turtle
people.
Island.
Right, well, maybe you should read a little more Indigenous knowledge books. And Indigenous communities have used two-spirit personas for the entirety of their culture, and so it leads me to my question. When you say that transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely, I ask you, Mr. Knowles, how can we eradicate something that has been here as long as humans have?
Well, yeah, there have been all sorts of crazy, terrible ideas for a very long time, too. You're pointing to civilizations that committed human sacrifice, okay? You're saying that some ancient pagan tribe worshipped demons and therefore we need to castrate children. That's not a good argument. Yes, that's true. There were all sorts of terrible tribes. In fact, as recently as a little over 500 years ago, the Aztecs here in the Western Hemisphere slaughtered 80,000 people in a sacrifice to one of the demons that they worshipped within the span of 4 days. It's not a recommendation of doing that. I don't think that we ought to consider it. Though, unfortunately, in our increasingly pagan and liberal culture, we do commit human sacrifice to the tune of 800,000 babies a year sacrificed through abortion, and it would make the Aztecs blush what we do. But that doesn't make it the right thing. You refer to a notion that is increasingly popular on the left, which is the idea of the two-spirit among various indigenous tribes. That is not real. That is a contrivance of white liberals in America. There have been various conceptions and gender for all of human history. The idea of the two-spirited indigenous intuition of some modern transsexual living in New York City who's a man who very much desires to be a woman, that is a complete fiction. You will not find that in literature dating very far back. So what does it say about the question itself? The question, regardless of what the ancient Sumerians believed before they chopped up little kids or whatever, is it true? Can a man really be a woman, and can a woman really become a man? We all know that the answer to be pulled out of our debate at the last moment next week, because even a distinguished professor knows, he has the intelligence to know, even if he is transgender identifying himself, that he can't win that debate because the idea is indefensible. So the question becomes, how does one know that someone with the total physical appearance of a man, how can one know that that person really is a woman? Do you have an answer to that question?
How can, to clarify, you're asking how can somebody know if they are a woman?
And how can I know if that person is a woman? If not by the physical attributes, their natural and enduring biological. What's the alternative to that?
So my response to you is then a question of, what is the purpose of knowing another person? But let me finish.
Yeah.
If it's not for the premise of reproduction, and there's no need to relate outside of that, then I don't quite understand why we would need to question or.
So this is what happens whenever you ask a transgender activist to explain even the basic premise of the movement. Is they'll immediately say, "Well, who cares? Why are you so obsessed with this?" I'm not obsessed with this. I'm not the one who started sending men into the women's bathroom and taking away their trophies and castrating kids. I'm perfectly happy with the way things have worked for thousands of years. It is the transgender activists who are trying to upend everything. And so I think it is at least my right to ask the question, okay, what is the premise of your movement? But they always deflect from that. They always withdraw from the debate. They always try to change the subject because there is no answer. So you ask me, well, what's the purpose of, why do you even care? What's the purpose of knowing someone's biology? Well, for starters, because we have civil rights specifically for women in the United States. We have special bathrooms for women, we have special sports leagues for women, we have all sorts of special places and rights and privileges and that are for women that are not for men. So if now some men, people who at the very least appear to be men, are claiming a right to go into those women's bathrooms, then we either have to abolish all of the special rights and privileges that have existed for women for all of human history and are enshrined in our law, or they need to explain to me how those men are actually women. And they can't do the latter, and I'm not willing to do the former, and I don't think women across this country are willing to do the former, even if a few people have been so ideologically blinded that they would give into this kind of an absurdity.
All that research and still got schooled in 2 minutes flat. Ouch.
Oh, I have something for you.
Okay.
I found it outside. I thought you'd really like it.
Is this a fan letter?
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them out
He was right.
there.
Radical feminism did ruin my life, and it's me dressed up as an official from the Biden administration, I think.
Who knew politics and art could throw shade this hard?
So you're unfamiliar with the large body of medical evidence of the harm that has come upon people that have gone through these processes?
I'm familiar with a large body of evidence that shows that providing good affirming care saves lives.
Are you saying that you're unaware of the large body of medical evidence of the harm that has come upon these people in these processes that have been gone through? Are you unaware of that body of evidence?
I will repeat what I just said.
Are you unaware of that body of evidence?
I will repeat what I just said.
You said that you're a trans woman.
I trans female, yes, sir.
Do you have a penis?
That's horrible.
You're the one that brought that into the discussion.
I've never said anything about genitalia.
Oh, it has everything to do with genitalia.
I don't know what my rights are right now.
Audience, if you want to stay in here.
I don't know what my rights are, but that question was highly inappropriate.
You do not have to answer any question. If you're through, we'll dismiss you.
Well, I'm not through with questions, but I'm not going to answer that question. That's highly inappropriate.
Again, you can say that, and that's your right. So.
Okay, I'm a healthcare professional, a doctor. Please treat me as such. Next question, please.
Are there any other questions?
Sometimes the truth is just too real for some feelings to handle.
Pearson, do you have any comments on the Nazi presence at your protest? The presence of Nazis and white supremacists assaulting people at your protest. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, I don't like Nazis.
Then why are you?
Why were they here? Well, how can I answer
Are there views in alignment with yours? At some point, you have to realize.
That's a foolish question. Look, do you want to know what my views are?
I've watched all of your videos, yes,
including.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Then why would you ask such a question?
Because this is my interpretation of your videos.
Apparently,
all of the people who arranged the protest against you watched all of your videos.
Do you want to disavow 150 videos on YouTube?
No, your lectures, which sparked the debate.
I have 150. Could you let me talk to her for a moment?
Don't call me that, please.
I have 150 lectures on YouTube. There's 500 hours of my views.
Do you really think that you're worth all of that time?
So look, I will answer your question, okay? I've studied Nazism for a very long time. It's been 4 decades, and I understand it very well. And I can tell you that there's some awful people lurking in the corners, and they're ready to come out. And if the radical left keeps pushing the way
that sounds very much like a threat.
They're going to come.
That sounds very much like a threat. It sounds very much like a threat.
When your whole argument depends on invisible Nazis and vague alignments.
So when we talk
why
about
are they at a disadvantage?
Why are they at a disadvantage? We can talk about black people in particular. We can talk about redlining and housing discrimination. We can talk about the after effects of slavery and debt peonage that no one talks about. I noticed that I never see you guys like cover Daily Wire cover like anything when it comes to the history of black people that accurately explains where we are at today, because the last chattel slave released in America was actually in 1942, and that's not like a crackpot theory. That's because right after segregation or right after slavery, the South didn't kind of just like give up and be like, oh, you got our slaves, our economy's just gonna go along now. They attempted to have a system in which they implemented it.
Oh, look, so there are over 9 million slaves going around today, not in the United States.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. So,
how does it not?
Because we're not talking about the historical, we're not talking about the context of people who are living in slavery conditions around the world.
I'm saying slavery is practiced everywhere around the world today.
What does that mean?
It means forced servitude.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying what does slavery mean. What does it mean that is practiced in multiple places and everywhere today? That mean it's okay?
No, it's very bad. But what I'm saying is we're basically the only guys that ever stopped it in all of human history. We in the West, yeah.
That's funny. What do you mean by we in the West?
I mean, Europe and the countries that came out of the European colonies are the only part of civilization ever that decided to end the practice of slavery. And they did so for explicitly Christian reasons.
Where do you think that slavery was most popular?
It was the Muslim pirates who were some of the largest traders in slavery.
That's the sheer, when it comes to the trade of the Barbary slave trade.
No, not just.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about that Barbary pirates. That's in sheer number-wise, like compared to transatlantic slave trade with African Americans in particular, it's a bigger number.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, where do you think it was most popular? You're taking that one instance
You're
of slave
saying today,
trade.
or?
No, I'm talking about historically. You're taking that one instance of slave trading, and you're neglecting all the slavery that was going around in Western countries. If you could count up that number, that's significantly more than the Barbary slave.
I'm saying even like slavery today, for instance, in Africa, is still practiced. There's a candidate for the president of South Sudan who himself was a slave, has been speaking out about the problems of slavery all around the world. At the height of the transatlantic slave trade, there were more slaves who were held in Africa than were shipped over to the New World. So I'm saying this, and this has been true in East Asia.
Oh,
this has been true in the Middle East.
And this is because, you're failing to draw a distinction between what slavery we're talking about. these societies did have slavery, and that again has nothing to do with American history. But when we look at
There's a lot to do with the history of slavery.
No, I'm talking about around the world. The fact that every other nation or other nations practice slavery has nothing to do with context.
Throughout every other region of the world.
So does America. If you look up any study, if you look up any source that tells you how many slaves there are in the world, they'll say there's like 7 million in Africa, and they'll give you a number about 400,000 to 1 million in America
because of
criteria.
Slavery
Because of sex slavery,
of the people being held by the cartels on the open border.
Yeah, so in the United States.
Yeah,
literally in our country.
Because for instance, like our southern border's open, and so the cartels.
Our southern border's open?
Yeah, we have over 3 million people a year come into the country illegally. So it's open.
Does that mean that it's open?
Effectively, yeah. If you can't stop 3 million people from crossing your border, you probably have a pretty open border.
Do you have anything to compare that to number-wise?
Yeah, so even 5 years ago, the number was down to about 2,000 people a day, which at that time was an all-time high.
Is it 3 million a year?
Over 3 million.
I'm genuinely concerned because I believe that it was around 1.
It's not. It's much higher than that.
But
we have 1 million legal immigrants who come in per year, which is also a shockingly high number, completely out of accord with any other country on earth and any other time in history. But we also have many more millions of illegal aliens crossing into the border per year.
Debating Michael Knowles unprepared is like arm wrestling a forklift.
Mean? What does that even mean?
It means when, well, I can tell you what it means in modern day, what it used to mean.
No, tell me what it means now. When you just used it, what do you mean?
I think woke is a all-encompassing mindset where you basically virtue signal over facts. You play the victim. You try and cancel anyone.
What's an example?
Anyone that doesn't agree with you.
What's an example?
Anything you like.
That's not an answer. You use the expression, I don't think you know what it means. Woke to me means awake.
Let me give you
woke.
come on.
No, you guys are awake. You guys are woke. You want to beat up transgender people.
We don't want to beat them up.
burn books.
That's what woke is. We want pornographic books out of schools. We want men out of girls.
By the way, DeSantis' campaign all about woke was rejected by the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. So keep it up, guys. Keep woking it out. And by the way, I saw you stumble over what woke is because people use it at this point as a cudgel.
I'm about to give you an example.
I know, but I'm talking first. You use it as a cudgel, and by the way, it's unpopular, so keep it up, man.
Woke means feelings first, facts never.
You and your friends stopped wreaking havoc in the City of London. I'd rather you stop throwing soup over paintings, stop putting paint on the windows of Harrods, stop sitting in roads so that my friend couldn't get the treatment that she needed. And I'd rather you went out, worked a bit. Maybe you could do some litter picking on a beach. Maybe you could do something that was practical and helpful. But I don't think being obtrusive and obstructive and lecturing ordinary people when you have no idea what it's like to try and work and make ends meet in the UK. You talk about millions of people. You talk about people who are in poverty. You have no idea what that's like because you live in the rarefied atmosphere of a university at some wokerati place and you think what you're doing is changing the planet. I think what you're doing is pissing people off, and I think you could allocate your energies more effectively by going out and picking up litter on a beach.
He wanted to raise awareness but accidentally raised Katie's kill count instead.
How arrogant are you to think that you deserve to go through life with no one ever saying anything that you don't agree with or like? I want people to stop saying that joke's offensive. I want them to start saying I found it offensive. Because that's all it is. You're just telling me how you feel about it. There's nothing intrinsically offensive about this joke. It's trying to make I'm offended sound important. It's no different to saying I've got a pain in my leg. Right, I believe you. But there's nothing to do with me. But you shouldn't hurt people's feelings. Well, you can if their feelings are wrong. You know, if you don't like the facts, don't change the facts, change the feelings. So you don't have to pave the jungle. You can just grow a pair and have a laugh about it.
Imagine thinking disagreement is oppression. Must be exhausting.
That whites are the most violent and oppressive people.
Well, yeah.
That's what you said in your film.
And if you're going to go back
so that would seem to me that
statistics point that out too.
Oh, really? Well, the Chinese were massacring Chinese and other races long before they'd ever met a white person. Attila the Hun wasn't white. It's the same in the subcontinent if you go back hundreds of years as well. The genocide in Rwanda was black on black. So is the Congo, which is the rape capital of the world.
When it comes to education, the whole system needs to change.
Well, let me look at education. Let's look at the figures on education. 33% of white kids go to university or further education. 37% of black kids go to university or further education. 67% of Indian kids go to university or further education. 76% of Chinese kids go to university or further education.
When your argument collapses the second someone opens a world map.
I have a friend who has a trans kid. He's explained that, like, well, my child from a very young age consistently said, I am a girl, and has never contradicted themselves, never changed their mind. And so the humane thing and the thing that he felt was good to do as a parent was to, like, embrace that choice on his child's part. I shouldn't even phrase it as a choice, like, embrace that identity.
But it is a choice. If you're choosing to add hormones to a child's body, that's a choice. If they think that they're a girl, why do you have to give them hormones to make them more of a girl?
Because... I'm sorry, can you expand on the question?
It's a simple question. If the child thinks it's a girl, let it be a girl. Why are you adding hormones? If you're shooting hormones into a child and you're affecting the child's development, you're saying that's not a choice. That's nonsense. Of course it's a choice. You're choosing to chemically change this child's body.
If he's already a girl, then the hormones must just be glitter juice?
A little bit clearer for you. Ellie Jones, who has recently transitioned.
Oh yes, she's the boy, isn't she? Am I correct? I get so confused.
No, Mr. Riley, you're not correct. And this is the whole purpose of my phone call today, which is that this misgendering and misnaming and downright ignorance, to be honest, has to stop.
You can't go around just saying, oh, I want you to call me this, I want you to call me that. Why should any of us have to bow down to you? I don't understand.
Oh my God. It's 2024. She's not a boy anymore. She's a girl. And her name is Ellie. When are you going to acknowledge that?
You can't just say these things. I want everybody to start calling me helicopter. You can't do that.
Oh my God. So, are you basically saying to me that you refuse to acknowledge she's now transgender, she has transitioned?
Transgender? I mean, come on. The girl's what, 14, 15?
Yes, exactly, and she's an incredibly brave young girl, and this needs to be acknowledged.
You're making a huge mistake. It's probably
a huge mistake? Are you for real?
He's just a little confused. It's a phase. He's a phase. It'll get over.
It's a girl. She's a girl.
Everybody wants to go back, but you've already done too much. You don't want to be Catholic school, don't you? We don't really condone this kind of, I don't even know what to call it, lunacy. We don't condone this kind of lunacy.
Okay, stop right there. I'm going to launch an official complaint against you with the head teacher, with the school, and with the entire educational board, because I cannot believe that someone like you is even allowed to teach today's youth.
I've got a lot of paperwork here, you know. I got a lot of stuff I could be getting on with instead of having this ridiculous conversation with a woman who's deluded her son so much that he now thinks he's a girl.
Wait, did she just assume the teacher's pronouns? Bold move in 2024.
Do we even know that this is a girl, by the way, Barbie?
That's a very good point.
Is she identifying as a woman or not?
And this is
or is she identifying as gender fluid? In which case, she might be, on this particular day, a man. She might be identifying as a man. And actually, I'm offended on his behalf that you may not have realised Barbie is now gender fluid, and actually, despite looking like a girl, actually is a man today. So actually, you've caused me grave offence.
And this is the point, Piers, this is the point, is that feminists have got so much more to worry about.
They haven't, honestly, they haven't.
Piers nailed it. Freedom to identify shouldn't come with a rule book for everyone else.
Here is Charlie Kirk remaining calm and polite as some lefty loses it big time.
Would you like to have a conversation?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like you. I think you spread hate. I think you spread bigotry. I think you piss a lot of people off because I mean, you're just an awful person. I don't think you really want to debate because you're just here to piss people off and energize your crowd of racists.
What have I ever said that's racist?
Oh, what?
Can you name one thing?
I'm Hispanic. Can I support Charlie?
Can you name
Does that mean anything?
Can you name a second thing I've ever said that's racist?
I think you're just trying to play a game, and I think this is obviously going to be used.
What have I ever said that's hateful?
I just want to hate you. You're awful. Get off my campus.
When have I ever said anything that's hateful? Have a nice day. He can't say anything I've ever said that's racist because I've never said anything that's racist. That is the American left in one picture, everybody. Lots of rage and no wisdom.
So he accuses Charlie of spreading hate and racism, but cannot name a single incident of Charlie actually doing that. He ignores the man of colour who says, I support Charlie, then ends the tantrum by walking off in a huff. And it's on brand for lefties losing it. He just ticks every box there for us, Sophie.
He does, Rachel. I mean, where's the evidence? He just stood there and sort of, well, I don't
Get off my campus!
Exactly, and then wandered away when he knew he had no argument.
We've got some pro-Hamas rally to organise, presumably. I mean, give me a break.
Charlie asked for receipts. Woke forgot the shopping cart.
Looks like he's having a nice feast.
She, her.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good.
But it was not all good.
I use she, her pronouns. I'm not sir.
Oh.
Yeah, like it's like a knife in the heart. I did specifically ask ahead of time not to be called sir. Yeah, I'm just gonna go.
Okay. The Sweetwater starts at. Okay.
I'm
so sorry. I apologize.
It's just always like a knife. It always hurts every single time. I was wondering if there's a manager I could talk to about something that happened. Yeah, I was called sir. Did you call me sir? I just want to tell you that the person who gave me this called me sir.
Nothing like a good misgendering.
I'm not sir, but there's a guy who dropped the food off. He called me sir twice in a row.
I do like the little hat on the dog. That's a nice touch. But our faux Karen there has to run to management like a good cry bully and complain that their feelings were hurt. Let's hope nobody lost their job in any of those cases. All those poor waiters, they're working hard, they're not earning much money. Can you just imagine having someone go to your manager because you accidentally misgendered them? I mean, they were all so apologetic there as well in the video clips.
Rita, I'm more concerned about the dog. Why is the dog sitting at the table? And what gender is the dog? We don't know that.
We don't.
This is just crazy. But it had a very... has deliberately set this up so it gets the reaction. I mean, seriously, these poor waitresses and waiters have to deal with this nonsense.
It is so self-indulgent. You look at the problems around the world and to be playing victim over that.
We get it, bro. I mean, ma'am. I mean, okay, we get it.
You're a boy, right?
No, I'm a girl.
Who told you you were a girl?
Mommy.
And when did she tell you you were a girl?
Because I love girls.
Oh, I see. So mommy told you you were a girl?
Uh-huh.
Does mommy do anything else like with a girl with you?
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Like kisses.
What does she do?
She do something on me.
She puts dresses on you? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first iPhone video I ever took. And my blood ran cold when I realized what she had planned for that boy. And, it escalated to eventually she registered him in school as a girl. I had to shut that down. So the Capel School District began to secretly transition my son. I'd bring my son to school in boys' clothes, and they'd give him a dress and make him use the girls' restroom. It even escalated further where she began to present him to the world as a girl. I lived under temporary orders from a court where I wasn't even allowed to tell my son that he was a boy, where I had to present him to the world as a girl. And, his twin brother got completely confused by all this. We wound up going to a 2019 trial where the courts gave me 50-50 custody and joint conservator rights to check her ability to transition my son. And the corrupt Democrat establishment in Dallas County transferred my case into the 301st District Court with Judge Mary Brown, and she never implemented the trial with a jury verdict, and as through temporary orders stripped me of all my parental rights and eventually allowed my ex to move to California right before, just a few days before the sanctuary law in California went into effect.
So it's so upsetting. I mean, we're talking about destroying a child's life. 9, even last year, people who were in favor, who believed that you could change sexes by active will, even they would concede 9 was too young. Now we're just completely off the rails.
Yes.
Did any adult in authority step up to help you and protect this 9-year-old boy?
No. She started transitioning when he was 2. She tried to enroll him in a gender clinic when he was 5, the Genesis Clinic in Dallas, Texas. The pediatrician's records show that she intended to chemically castrate him at age 8 or 9, his current age, and then he magically moves to California. I don't think this is an accident. Absolutely no one in the state of Texas has stood up for me except for Ken Paxton, the Texas Attorney General. I went to the legislature on 2 sessions, and by some quantitative measures, I generated more political power for a bill against transgender child abuse than for any bill in Texas history. Some offices were, of course, supporting 300 lobbyists a day on my bills. We could not get that bill passed because the Speaker of the House, Dade Phelan, blocked those bills from passage. So the legislature did nothing. The governor did not mobilize the agencies to protect Texas children from these abusive procedures, sterilization and chemical castration.
A dad loses his child not to tragedy, but to ideology, and they call that progress.
Here is Madison Cawthorn's definition of a woman. X chromosomes, no tallywhacker. And this gives me a chance to talk about biological essentialism.
Okay, can we stop for a second? I don't want to hear anything about biology from this person. Man and woman, they have some pretty good indicators. This person doesn't know about those things. Just a few indicators. Okay, here we go. The Joker telling us about it.
First of all, it's not true. People have all kinds of chromosomes and all kinds of bodies. Women who've had hysterectomies, people born with certain conditions, but that's almost immaterial. Number two, it is a system of oppression.
Oh.
Gender is a hierarchy and a system of oppression.
Can you stop it there for a second? Okay, so I have a question. If gender is a system of oppression, why would a man ever identify as a woman? I've been informed that gender is a system of oppression by this human. And this human presumably thinks that, historically speaking, women were the disadvantaged. So why would a man ever identify as a woman? In fact, why don't we just obliterate gender as a category altogether? And then you would not have to identify as a woman, or as non-binary, or as anything related to gender. Weird. Self-contradictory. Almost as though there's no logic and these are all insane people.
And the easier it is to define gender, the easier it is to keep the oppression going.
Definitions are oppression, guys.
It's dangerous.
Definitions are dangerous, guys. By the way, this is a typical line that the left likes to use. If you define things, that makes it dangerous. And they play all of these semantic, idiotic Martin Heidegger word games, and it's just ridiculous. What they do with gender, you can do with literally anything. Or if I say to you, tell me what dog means, and you say, member of the canine family. I say, well, how do you know? I mean, after all, do you know what's in that dog's head? Do you know what that dog is thinking? 4 legs, member of the well, I can say, well, some dogs have 3 legs. How do you know? You can play these sort of dumb games with pretty much any word, but they're now constructing an entire world narrative around it. It's amazing.
Explaining womanhood to actual women. Great way to fight hierarchy, especially after 15 minutes of being one.
When you don't teach men to protect women, you get men who will victimize women. And when you don't teach women that they ought to cherish men who are responsible and good, all you end up doing is incentivizing bad male behavior. The feminist movement was not wrong when they said men are acting like pigs. They were wrong when they said women also ought to act like pigs and that this is a solution to our problem. Because now what's happened is they got rid of all the traditional mores about how ought to be connected with love and not to be connected with relationships. They got rid of all of that. It was just a bodily function now. That's the problem, right? So they create the standard where sex is basically a throwaway item, sort of like eating. And then we treat very differently when it comes to what we all know it is, which is a deeply important and intimate part of a person's life. And then we attempt to backdoor standards of consent that, frankly, don't make any sense in a real life context.
So the solution to piggish men was to start a co-ed farm.
Always listen to people of color. Oh, hey, I'm a person of color, and I think modern anti-racist philosophy is a pseudo-religious cult that creates a false victimhood narrative, renders us powerless so that activists like you can save us and feel good about themselves. Not you, you're racist! Oh, so you only listen to people of color that say exactly what you want them to say. I'm doing this for your benefit. I'm protecting you. Hey, have you ever had an emotionally abusive boyfriend? Yes? He would get angry every time I said or did something he didn't like. He made me feel completely worthless, and he justified his behavior by saying he loved me and was trying to protect me, but it was all just for his validation. And the really sad thing about emotional abusers is that consciously they really feel like they're showing love and being protective, but they're actually just seeking to control the other person or people of color.
Allyship revoked the moment you think for yourself.
This is why young women are stop coming to you, ladies. Young women are stop listening to y'all because you won't stop. There's a reason there are 32,000 people watching my show, and a lot of them are women, because you're not telling them the truth. You won't be direct with it. You won't just tell them, look, if you want to have your career, you won't tell them that if you want to get married and have kids, you need to do it before a certain age to have a better shot. You know better, but you won't tell them. I don't need the background. Give me the age. They're between the ages of 21 and 50. What age, if you want to get married and have a family, what age should they start prioritizing?
You allow me to answer, Kevin.
I'm allowing you to give me an age. I'm going to end this conversation.
I know a girl that had a baby.
I'm allowing you to give me an age.
Kevin,
All right.
oh my God.
Yeah.
It was
All
nice
right.
talking to you.
Yeah.
Since you're not.
This is why they're not listening to you.
Oh my god, is a solid scientific rebuttal. Yeah.
This is a queer fat club.
I'm queer and fat.
Okay, thank you for joining. We're just introducing ourselves at the moment.
Okay.
Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Joe?
Yeah, my name's Joe. I go by he, they, and I identify as 275 pounds.
Okay, okay.
I feel like Jay's kind of making fun of me though. I know it's kind of a shock. I know, kind of a new thing.
I'm just,
Do what?
I said I apologize.
Oh no, you're good.
Are you comfortable leaving the group at the moment?
Why?
I'm not understanding why you're joining the group.
This is the queer and fat group now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I came here for.
Okay. And you said you identify as fat?
Yeah.
Okay. This is just for fat-bodied people.
Yeah, I understand. I identify as a fat-bodied person.
I'm not understanding where you're coming from.
Are you guys comfortable with me here? I mean, I'm pretty chill on my end.
I'm not comfortable, no.
They played lawyer until the case backfired on them.
I think anyone who hasn't experienced racism shouldn't say anything about it. Full stop.
5 years in a black
100%
neighborhood,
happened.
I got in a fight every other day for it.
Okay, but that's...
Because I had red hair, they called me
Yeah.
Rooster. I literally got in fights every day.
So you got bullied. Ooh.
That's not racism.
Exactly.
Oh, it's not.
It's discrimination based on what he looks like.
It's not. That's exactly what racism is.
They
No,
didn't
because
stop.
he wasn't oppressed. We were the ones that oppressed, so you can't call that racism.
How are you oppressed?
No, but I'm
In
not
2023, how are you oppressed? Because I got news for you, honey. If you had a skill set that was worth something to somebody, you would be the richest fucker in here. I have a lot of young black men that follow me. There's no way on earth I'm going to let them believe that they have a lesser chance than anybody else if they just work their ass off. Bro,
We have to
looking at racism for broke people.
No.
It's not insulting. You lead with it. Get a new identity. I'm a black girl. What? You're so much more than that. You're so much more than that.
Bullying, when it happens to you. Racism, when it fits my narrative. If you enjoyed the ratio of facts to fury, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because watching narratives crumble never goes out of style.